Today I'm going to show you how you can make popcorn that tastes just like it does at the movie theater. Now, to do this, I'm not actually going to give you any specific measurements. I'm going to explain to you what I'm looking for and use judgment on how to make the popcorn. I think too many recipes that are very specific with a teaspoon of this and a tablespoon of that, in my experience, never come out right. They need to explain what they're looking for when they're adding that much of an ingredient. And so instead of giving you exact measurements, I'm going to tell you what I'm looking for. And hopefully you'll be more successful when you try and replicate this recipe, which is not very specific with regards to actual measurements. And the reason for that also is I'm going to use a 4-quart saucepan, which is 3.7 liters for those of you who are in the rest of the world. And this pot actually has a vented lid on it, so it allows steam out. And that's really important. If you have a pot that you're going to use that doesn't have a vented lid, you just need to put a lid on it and just put it on an angle or something, so just a little bit of an angle when you're popping the popcorn to let the steam out. But I'll talk more about that a little bit later. So let me just get that out of the way for now. The ingredients that we're going to use, first of all, is coconut oil. Now this coconut oil has beta carotene in it. I think it's red or orange in color. If we look right at it here, you'll see it's already congealed. Like any other oil, or like butter, you know, the hotter it gets, it melts, right? So when I ordered this, it was in the summertime, and it was very viscous. It would just leak all over the place. It's a mess to clean up. So I prefer when it's congealed like this, personally. If you don't like that, you can take a scoop out and put it in your microwave and melt it down, but it's going to melt down in the pot anyway. Speaking of the microwave, why are we not using the microwave? Because there's one of the secrets to movie theater popcorn is the steam that occurs when the popping happens. And there are pots specific to popping popcorn, like the Whirley-Pop, which I'm showing here on Amazon. But I hate the idea of having a kitchen appliance that only does one thing. You can only use it to make paninis, or you can only use it to make popcorn. Who has that much room in their kitchen for these very specific gadgets? So by not giving you exact measurements, you can use any size pot you've got. And I'll just explain to you what I'm looking for, starting with the oil. What I want to do with the oil is I want to put enough of the oil in this pot that it not only covers the bottom of the pot, but I want just a little bit more than that, because I want my popcorn kernels to be in like a little jacuzzi of oil. Okay, so if I was a popcorn kernel, I want the oil to come up somewhere, you know, around my midsection. I don't want to fully submerge myself in oil, and I don't want it just on my feet, or in the jacuzzi, as it were. Getting my metaphors mixed up. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start by taking a little bit of oil out of here. I'm just going to eyeball it. This is a teaspoon, but you'll see I don't have it completely filled up. It's just a convenient spoon that I'm using. Let's get our fire started. And I'm going to turn the fire down to about, we'll put it on 6, just a little more than half. And now I'm just going to get that out of there. We're going to let that melt down and see how much we've got. It's not quite enough. I need to add a little bit more than that. I'm going to add another little bit here. Of course, if I add too much, I could always just dump the extra into the sink. Not a big deal. Again, you got to use your judgment on this. Okay, that looks about right to me, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the fire up to about 8. So, yeah. Well, no, you know what? We'll put it at 7. So again, we don't want to cook on high. The only time you ever want your stove on high is if you're boiling water. If you put the fire too high on the pot, what's going to happen is the popcorn, as it pops, is going to burn around the edges of your pot. And that's not going to smell good. You know, it's funny because popcorn, it smells so good when it's popped properly, and it smells so awful when it burns. So we're going to just let that heat up for a minute, and while it's heating up, I'll tell you a little bit about the other ingredients I've got here. One of the secret ingredients that movie theaters use that's not so secret anymore is called Flavacol. Flavacol is made by Gold Medal, and Gold Medal is known for their flour But this isn't sold in retail stores that I've ever seen. I don't know why. It's really intended for vendors, like they advertise on the back, making a cotton candy machine, or getting other, what's on the site, snow cone machine. It's intended for somebody who's selling popcorn as a business. This is not a retail package. There's a link to this for Amazon. It's very inexpensive, and you don't use much of this, so this will probably last you a few years. I hope it does. The actual popcorn you use, believe it or not, is kind of irrelevant. Buy whatever popcorn you want to buy. Buy what's cheapest. It doesn't really matter. There's certainly better popcorn. Oh, our oil is starting to smoke. Also, I want to let you know that if you see your oil starting to smoke, that's your sign to turn your fire down, because where there's smoke, there is soon fire. So if there's not fire already, oil will catch fire when you put it on a stove and make it too hot and walk away from it. It just keeps getting hotter and hotter and hotter. And anyway, watch for that smoke. You see the smoke's gone away now. Now, how much kernels do we put in here? I'm going to put in enough kernels that I think are going to cover the bottom of this pan about 3/4 of the way. I'll bring my fire back up to about 6 again, and you can see I've got a nice single layer of popcorn. The oil there's still not enough oil in there. I'm looking at it, and my popcorn kernels they're not covered to the level I want them to be covered. So I'll put a little more oil in there, just like so. That's why I say you have to use your judgment on this. Okay, now while that's sitting there, what I've done, this Flavacol comes out, and it's a very fine yellow salt or orange salt. And people say, you use 1/4 of a tablespoon or something, and then what happens is you end up plopping that down in there. We're already popping already, look at that. So what I've done is I put the Flavacol in a salt shaker, and I'm going to generously coat my popcorn in it. Again, if I used a measuring spoon, it would all just come out in a lump, and it wouldn't spread correctly. So now I'm going to, as the popcorn's starting to pop, you see one just left the bowl. Now's the time to put the lid on. And what's really important is that you keep moving the pot, unless you have a Whirley-Pop or something that stirs the popcorn around. What we don't want to happen is we don't want the popcorn that's already popped to burn. And you'll see having the fire on 6 is just about perfect. And as it's going to continue to heat up, you're going to hear that popping start to increase. You've all popped popcorn before, of course you know how that works. And we just want to keep agitating the pot here and keep that popcorn moving. It's like when you're using a hairdryer and you keep the hairdryer at one spot too long. It hurts, right? Because you're burning your skin. How do you stop that? You move the hairdryer around. That's all we're doing here. Just keep popping this, and we're going to wait until we get either at the top of the lid, I'm going to pull it off, or when the popping stops in, between 2 seconds between pops. You can see it's already slowed down quite a bit. I'm turning the fire off right now. We're at the end of the session. You'll see we're almost reaching the top of the lid. And I'm going to actually move this off of the heat. Now I'm going to remove the lid because I don't want that steam. See how much water came out of that? I don't want that steam to... sorry. I got to keep moving this. It's really hot. Now as for a bowl, what's great is this Salbree popcorn popper for the microwave. It works great as a popcorn serving bowl. It's also good if you want to microwave popcorn, but it's just not going to taste the same as a movie theater because it's cooked in the microwave. Now, let me just get this in the sink. Not quite done yet. There's a company called Kernel Seasons, and they make popcorn seasonings, like sour cream and onion and cheddar and other seasonings you can put on your popcorn. But they also make this movie theater style popcorn butter. You can also buy huge gallons of this that are similar to what the movie theater uses. It's all pretty much the same thing, depending on your local movie theater and what they use and your personal palate, what you prefer. But this works up well enough for us. And I'm just going to put that on there generously. And give it a good shake without spilling it all over the place. Well, looks like Lyle's going to get some popcorn. We'll put a little bit more on there. Now, if you find that your popcorn isn't salty enough, whoops, just add a little more Flavacol to it now, but be very careful with it. Like I say, it's very fine. So it's very easy to put too much on there. All right. Now I'm ready to watch a movie. You want to sit? That's a good boy. You want this? Give me your paw. That's a good boy. There you go. Oops. That's a good boy.